Hey you all, start by logging into Clever. All right, here is our warm up, two parts. Let's review where is the partial negative on a water molecule and where is the partial positive. So if you remember, the oxygen is way more electronegative than the hydrogen. So what that means is that the shared electrons between the oxygen and those two hydrogens are actually going to be pulled more towards the oxygen side, resulting in a partial negative here on the oxygen and partial positives on our hydrogens. Again, you can see that I added the partial negative and the partial positives. Now, another piece of water and an important property and characteristic of it is the fact that it can hydrogen bond, meaning that water molecules will stick together. So take a look at the four different dotted lines. A, which is between the two oxygens. B, which is between one oxygen, the oxygen of one water molecule and the hydrogen of another. C, which is between hydrogens of two different water molecules, or D, which is between the two hydrogens in a single water molecule. Which one best describes what a hydrogen bond will look like? So what we should have said is that the hydrogen bond was B because the opposite charges of the two water molecules are what are attracted to each other. So the oxygen end of one is attracted to the hydrogen end of another. Again, we can see that the pull of electrons towards the oxygen results in there being a partial negative on the oxygen and partial positive on the hydrogen. These are really important because they result in these crazy properties that are unlike anything else on Earth. We see that water has a high specific heat, meaning it takes a lot of energy and heat to warm up water. Think about what it's like if you've ever been to a pool or to the beach. The cement near the pool and the sand near the pool is always going to be way hotter than the water itself. We can see that ice floats, and that is because the hydrogen bonds move the water molecules a little bit further apart, making the ice less dense than the liquid water. Here we see how water can be a universal solvent. If whatever is being dissolved has a charge or is polar, water will find a way to dissolve it. We see surface tension here. So those hydrogen bonds forming a layer at the top of the water that allows for the water strider and other creatures to sit right on top. We see surface tension by the outside, that bubble form of our water. We see then adhesion as the water is sticking to these leaves, and we see cohesion as the water is sticking together and to form these droplets. These are just some of the really cool properties that water has, and it all results because of these two pieces. Important to remember that. So today's lesson is really just to prepare you for your assessment and go over the three parts that you're going to be doing and what that's going to look like. My usual announcements stick. Check your assignments for comments and grades. Check your ed puzzles to make sure that they're done. Make sure you come to your live lessons and if you can't, make sure that you do the recorded lesson. Always use your resources and keep in mind our expectations, particularly as we get ready to move back to in-person or stay virtual and maybe just change up what that looks like a little bit. Like I said, today we are really just talking about and wrapping things up, our ideas with water. I'm going to walk you through the three parts to your assessment in just a couple minutes. I do want to just make sure we are all on the same page. It is the end of the unit as well as the end of the first 6 weeks. This assessment that I'm going over will not be on your first 6-week grades, but everything up to this point will. So I really need you to focus on getting that makeup work done and into me by Friday or Sunday at the latest so I can get your grades posted and updated and as accurate as they can be. Realize that by getting caught up on this makeup work, you are then preparing yourself for the assessment. All right, work at a pace that works for you. Do what works for you. I will be understanding and graceful and want to help you in whatever way I can. If you're putting in the effort, that's what I'm looking for. If you're starting to get a little anxious about what it means to return to school, just be aware that I have created a tab for materials related to that, where I'll be updating it regularly with videos and information as we get it. And you can always reach out and ask me a question, particularly in this return to school question form. Okay. Thank you guys for showing up and being here. Let's talk about this test. So the assessment for this water unit has 3 parts. 1 is the multiple choice. 2 is a Peardeck where you're going to be analyzing city that you choose water treatment cycle. And then the third is a short CER response answering the question, is your city's treatment process successful? So the multiple choice is pretty simple, 28 unit water unit multiple choice. It is 13 questions, but 3 of them are bonus. So here's an opportunity for you to rack up some bonus points. Part 2, and this is the part that I'm going to spend the most amount of time today talking about. What you're going to be doing is essentially exactly what you did for the Louisville water treatment process. So where you are going and you are looking at what process is happening for each step, determining what contaminants are being removed, and identifying if something is added. So filling in this chart. That's exactly what you're going to be doing for one of these 4 cities: Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Auburn, or Cincinnati. You get to choose. And which one you choose should be based on the challenge level that you're feeling ready for. I will start by saying that they are all challenging. That's the point. I want to challenge you. I want to see what you know. But if you're feeling like you are excelling on this and want to give yourself a harder challenge, I recommend doing either Auburn or Cincinnati. Philadelphia and Milwaukee are, again, both challenging, but they are a little bit more straightforward. So once you decide which one you're going to do, you're going to click on that link and it will open a Peardeck. The Peardeck is going to have you, again, analyze each of the steps that I have screenshotted for you, telling me what process is happening, what contaminants being removed, and what's being added. Now, the second part of this Peardeck is where it's a little bit different. There will be a short text that will describe some of the contaminants that often or that might find its way into your water based on what your water source is and what happens near your city. You're going to read and analyze that and identify some contaminants there. And then the second piece is you're going to look for problems with the water report. So the water quality report will look something like this. All right, it looks a little scary, lots of numbers, lots of abbreviations, big long words. Mainly what you're looking for is to see if the highest level detected or the range of detection is above the MCL or the allowed level. All right, so you're looking to see if any of these numbers are bigger than what is allowed. And that will usually be highlighted then by identifying it as a violation or as it not meeting standards. So in this case here, we see violations, and we see if it says no, that means it's at a good level, which matches what we see here with these numbers being underneath the maximum level. And if it is a violation, though, we are saying it is. It will say yes. So taking a look at this data, where do we see a violation? All right, so we see a violation here with the trihalomethanes. Yes, 105 is higher. That highest level that was found is bigger than the allowed level. So it is identified as being a violation. And that makes a lot of sense because this is the water data for Flint. We know that Flint has some issues with their water and their treatment process. All right, so along the same lines, taking a look at this water company, do we see any violations here or any issues with these numbers being bigger than what is allowed? Great, we don't. If we look here at these, it says there are no violations. So what that tells us is that Columbus, Ohio's water is pretty safe and does not have any major issues. So the conclusion that you're supposed to then draw from this is to be able to explain to me if your water at the city that you choose is successful, if their treatment process is successful. If it is successful, they shouldn't have any violations. If it's not successful, if it's not a very good process and there's some issues, you'll identify and see some violations. Okay, you'll answer this question, is the treatment process successful, using these 5 sentence starters and replacing anywhere where it says your city with the city name that you chose or the city that you chose. So either Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Auburn, or Cincinnati. And then answering and completing the rest of the sentences based on the information that you gathered in that Peardeck. Now, I will tell you that the data for, I believe it is Auburn, is a little hard to read. It doesn't have, is it in violation or does it meet standards? So you will have to pay attention to if these numbers are bigger than what is allowed or the goal, okay? But again, the main point is that you are supposed to walk away from this being able to determine and explain if your water treatment process for the city that you decided to examine is successful and productive, or if there's some problems with it and what those problems might be. Okay. So your assessment, although it is technically one assignment, like I said, there are three parts: the multiple choice, the Peardeck, and the CER. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them right now, or reach out to me. I will be answering and checking those out all weekend. Oh, here comes my cat. Um, we do not have ELT tomorrow because your teachers are getting their second dose of the vaccine. So Friday, March 5th, unfortunately, there won't be an opportunity for some one-on-one time. But again, I will be responsive and hopefully available to help you if you are running into any issues. Good luck. You guys are going to do great. Again, challenging yourself is good. And it's meant to be hard. Don't give up on yourself. You can do it. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for your hard work. You got this.